Happy Friday. How are y'all doing? Just some personal news on my end. I have my pre-op for my histo in less than a month, and then I have my histo a little over 2 weeks after that. So super excited for March to have come and gone already, basically, so I can be in the healing stages. So yeah, that's what's new with me. Just jumping right into this week's topics, it is suggestions or advice you have for people who aren't accepting or really on board with your transition. So I would say one of the biggest things that was beneficial to me was having my partner kind of reinforce it. So reinforcing he, him pronouns, reinforcing my preferred name as opposed to my birth name, and especially in terms of my mom, like her hearing other people refer me to that and it not being weird or whatever, kind of helped her adjust to switching over. But by no means that my mom, even still 7-8 years into my transition, gets my preferred name correct all the time. I would say the more often I hang out there without other people, like if it's just my mom and my brother or whatever over at their house, that she slips more often, and sometimes she's apologetic about it and sometimes she's not. I kind of let her slide basically because she did name me and knew me as that name for 21 years, so I feel like I can't really get mad at her for it. Just because people are accepting of you and your transition doesn't mean that they're gonna get your name and pronoun right away or even every time. So there definitely needs to be a understanding on your part, and as long as you think they're making an effort and not doing it maliciously, I would say to kind of have more patience with people, especially through the beginning of your transition. Also, some things just aren't gonna end up in a positive light. On one hand, my mom and my brothers are really accepting and very encouraging for me throughout my transition, but I grew up with my dad and my stepmom, which I haven't seen them in probably 7 to 10 years now, almost 10 years probably. I moved out the day after I graduated high school and house at my grandparents' house for the summer and then got my own place. So I never really looked back after that. They weren't very accepting when I was in high school of my lifestyle choices or my partners. So I kind of just decided to remove myself from that situation as soon as possible, which was right after graduation. So now they've never called me by my preferred name. They don't refer to me as male. I have 3 little sisters that I have occasionally talked to via text message, a little more so this past year, but I don't really communicate with my dad or my stepmom unless it's kind of like a family emergency. The last time I talked to them, unfortunately, was when my grandmother had passed away. My dad called me to let me know about that in the funeral, but it was in Pennsylvania, so I wasn't able to attend. Probably 3 years ago, when I was working with a therapist, she had recommended I kind of write him a letter, and it was close to Father's Day, so I wanted to send him like a Father's Day card. Not necessarily like a mean letter or anything, and just kind of a thoughts letter. My dad had been very like active in the activities I did when I was growing up, so it was really hard for me to not have him in my life right now. So I wrote out the letter, and I didn't have their current address because my stepmom, if she sent me like a Christmas present or something, wouldn't put a return address for their new house in Indiana, so I only had their old address. So I contacted my cousin and asked them, hey, can I get my dad's address so I can send him a Father's Day card? And she replied like 2 days later, oh, I talked to Aunt Doris, and she said you can just mail it to the address you have because they still check the mail at the old place. That really turned me off from trying to build build back a positive relationship, because basically I can't know where they live because they don't want me to. So that's fine. They don't like to be a part of my life, so I'm not since then, I haven't really been worrying about involving them in my life. Like, since then, I've been engaged, I've had my top surgery, I have a histo coming, but I don't think they even know any of those things. Anything that's important to me, they kind of don't care about, so why would I bother sharing it with them? So, as other guys have been saying, like, oh, remove yourself, it'll be okay. Some instances, like with my mom, she's definitely very accepting. Kind of took a little time for her to get on the right track and veers off a little bit, but definitely is respectful and encouraging of me and what I do with my life. And then on the other hand, I don't speak to my dad anymore. So sometimes you just have to give that negative situation up, because if I focused on it all the time, I would definitely be an angry or even depressed person, because when I do think about it, it really gets me down. Since the relationship me and my dad had growing up was so strong, it kind of is agitating that he basically is taking my stepmom's side and just kind of deciding to not communicate with me anymore. Other than that, with my friends, like old friends that I mentioned in the last video, I changed my name in their cell phone and then kind of put like a little, and then added my birth name so that way they could be reinforced with my preferred name, and then when they felt comfortable, they could just correct it completely in their phone. And that way it kind of gave them like easing into it, instead of just like, this is how it was this day, and all of a sudden you need to change completely. I've been pretty nonchalant about it with people messing up or whatever. I mean, people make mistakes, and as long as they're honestly trying, then I'm not really gonna get crazy on it. If you are in a negative situation, definitely find someone that will help you, or a place or a resource that you can find that will be a safe space for you to be comfortable. I hope everybody has a great weekend. If you have any topic suggestions, comment below. Find us on Tumblr. Follow me on Instagram. Have a good one, everybody.